Yes, good morning everyone. Yes, good morning. Okay, 29th June 2022. So, let's see which are the important articles from today's session, today's newspaper. Okay, some political developments are mentioned on the first page, but important one is G7 to cap Russia's income from oil sales. Okay, so G7 summit recently concluded, and the leaders of G7 countries or this grouping has decided to reduce Russia's income from oil exports. Although the final decision is not taken, detailed of the decisions, here onwards these countries will discuss about how to put sanctions on Russia's oil and natural gas exports. So this is the development, Ukraine-Russia war that is going on, and the Western countries have sanctions on, we can say, Russia. Now PM hails UAE's help during the pandemic. Now our Prime Minister, while returning from this G7 summit, is also visiting UAE. The outcome of that visit at present it is not discussed. So in next lecture we can say tomorrow there will be some kind of outcome of this meeting of Prime Minister in UAE. So now come to page number 4, you can see that the ethics batch or ethics test series of Lukmaan IAS has started at Lukmaan IAS. Okay, so there will be total 7 tests of ethics paper. Those who are writing mains examination, they are not able to improve their score in ethics. This is the good opportunity to join this test series and do writing practice and improve your score in the mains examination. Now on page number 8, editorial page, on left hand side, the essence of time. So the context of this article is recently Supreme Court intervened in the anti-defection proceedings, or let's say the notice given by Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra State Assembly to those let's say Shiv Sena party MLAs who are, let's say, at present residing in Assam, but they need some, they are demanding something from the party, and the political party in near future may take some kind of decisions related to anti-defection law or 10th schedule of Indian Constitution. So regarding that, this article is written, and the essence of time, that means when the judicial intervention should happen whenever there is anti-defection proceedings in the state assemblies, legislative houses as well as parliament. So with that context this article is written. On page number 9, bring the shine back on government jobs. Now this article is written with increasing contractual jobs in the government sector, and how the, let's say, mounting vacancies are there in the government sector. Government is trying to focus more on the contractual jobs, and they are terminating the jobs whenever they are not needed. They are recruiting the people on the contract basis whenever they are needed. So such kind of, let's say, things are creating some kind of social unrest. The context the writer is giving here with Agnipath scheme recently launched by the government, and the, let's say, the protest by the youth in several states happened. So ये जो public anger जो हो रहा है, that is, we can say, one of the reason that why government is not focusing on public services, civil services, we can say. Okay. Now if you want to take good data related to India's export and import from Russia, so on data point on the bottom side of page number 9, India's imports from Russia soar amid sanctions. ठीक है, तो कौन से एरियाज में जो है ये imports बढ़े हैं. Okay, so imports from Russia, you can see crude oil is there, and the other petroleum oils and types of coals you can see, and the share of total imports is also mentioned, and Russia's share has increased to 4% now, overall share in terms of merchandise trade, and in terms of ranking of total imports also now the Russia has become 6th country. Okay, you should be knowing the updated facts. And share of fuel also, now Russia has become 4th such country with the share of fuel imported 7.5% from Russia. Okay, earlier it was less than 1%. So these updated facts you mention in your mains examination, those students who are going to write mains examination. Okay. Now on page number 10, there is one article talking about this partnership for global infrastructure and investment recently launched by the G7 grouping in G7 meeting. So what is this partnership for global infrastructure and investment, and what kind of projects will be undertaken here? There will be, let's say, the projects will be undertaken under 4 priority pillars they have mentioned. Okay, so first of all, they will talk about global energy security and clean energy supply. Second, they will focus on digital information and ICT, so 5G and 6G network. Then third, they will focus on gender equality and equity, and fourth, global health infrastructure. This is how they are going to proceed in terms of funding here. Now on page number 11, GST reforms need a new bargain. Now this article is from let's say from archive, that means it is from the past. Last year's article is exactly printed as it is. Why this article is written? Because recently or yesterday itself GST council meeting happened, first such council meeting this year in 2022, and it is expected that several important decisions to be taken in that council, especially related to rationalization of tax slabs, GST tax slabs. Okay, with that context, this article is again reprinted from the earlier. So what you can do, you can just go through this article, and those who are having follow up on the Hindu newspaper analysis of Lukmaan IAS, they must be knowing this. Those who do not know about this, simply you can type about GST reform needs a new grand bargain. ये जब जिस दिन में हिंदू एनालिसिस हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर में आया होगा, उस दिन का आप हिंदू एनालिसिस देखिए. Okay, and there we have discussed this article. Now, yes, moving on to the next page. Yes, the other are political news. You can see that. Now come to page number 14. Okay, step up vigil to contain COVID surge, says the central government. So number of cases are increasing for COVID-19. And there is one small news within that, mRNA jab and Covovax for 7 to 11 age group got nod. Okay, so mRNA vaccine against this COVID-19 manufactured by Genova Biopharmaceuticals for restricted emergency use for 18 years and above. This was given, so this is first such indigenously manufactured, developed and manufactured mRNA vaccine. So what do you mean by mRNA vaccine? Different types of vaccines. This year UPSC asked that question, talking about the important vaccines that are, let's say, Covishield is there, Covaxin is there, or Russia's Sputnik V was there. So वो किस type के vaccine है वो पूछा गया था this year prelims examination. So you should be knowing about the new vaccines and how they are working out. कौन से टेक्नोलॉजी के ऊपर वो डेवलप किए हैं वो आपको पता होना चाहिए. Now Turkey back on page number 15. Turkey backs Sweden and Finland NATO bid. So when this, let's say, Sweden and Finland announced that they will join NATO, that time Turkey had opposed this. Okay, you should know that there is some kind of concern by Turkey, anti-national groupings for in the Turkey country. So they are located in Finland and they are working from Finland and Sweden. This was allegation by Turkey. So for that it was opposing NATO bid of these two countries, but now it is going to, we can say, back the Sweden and Finland's NATO bid here. Okay. Now on page number 16, rate adjustment loom as GST council meets first time in 2022. So yes, just now I was telling you regarding GST council meeting has happened for the first time in 2022, and important decisions will be announced in today's press conference regarding this council meeting. Okay, so decisions have not been announced yet. Those decisions will be announced today. So we'll cover that part in tomorrow's session. Okay, so let us discuss now in detail. First one. So G7 plan to counter the Belt and Road Initiative. So what is this new plan announced by the G7 countries? Partnership for Global Manufacturing and Investment. Okay, so what is this PGII that was announced? It is considered as Belt and Road Initiative of China against this initiative of 2013 launched by China. So this is how it is viewed by the world or other countries, this partnership for global infrastructure and investment. You should know that last year in 2021, US along with other countries of G7, they had launched this B3W, Build Back Better World. So basically it is this PGII is nothing but the renewed B3W. Okay, you should be knowing about this कि ये क्या है actual में. Last year the US had announced this initiative along with other G7 countries. Now it is, we can say, restructured as Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. So what is this particular let's say PGII? It is going to be, the total funding for next up to 2026, $600 billion funding will be given for infrastructure creation and some investment in social sector also. Okay, so you should be knowing that out of this $200 billion by US will be raised, and it is expected that remaining $400 billion by the other G7 countries, by other G7 members. So this is the basic information. Now what kind of projects will be undertaken by this partnership? So it will undertake projects under 4 pillars. Which are these 4 pillars? First, clean energy initiatives and energy security. Second thing, you should know that the initiatives will be taken digital technology, 4G, 5G, 6G, we can say, and other digital technologies and ICTs, information and communication technology. Third, they will focus on gender inequality, reducing gender inequality in the world. So reducing gender gap in the world, that will be also area of focus. And fourth will be strengthening health infrastructure. So you can see that this is not focused largely on economic aspect or earning profit. Rather they are, all these are, we can say, some kind of value based. This is what is promoted by US by launching this. It is going to be the value based initiative. So it is not only focusing on profit aspect. Okay. So it will benefit the developing and underdeveloped countries largely. India also is going to benefit from these initiatives. Fine. Now how does it compare to China's BRI? China's Belt and Road Initiative was launched in 2013 as a part of, from the ancient Silk Route. It wanted to, revive that ancient Silk Route in 2 parts. One, ancient Silk Road and maritime Silk Route for maritime trade. Okay, or maritime, we can say, those countries located along the ocean. So this is how let's say 2 parts of the BRI was there. Now how this is different from BRI, the present initiative, Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment. So you should be knowing this difference also. There can be specific question on this. Okay, so first thing you should know, for PGII and BRI, likewise we can say funding, largely it will be from the private sector. Here it is state backed. amount of funds $600 billion, $1.2 trillion up till now. It has been raised by BRI. Then you should know the nature of projects. Largely social sector, purely economic. Social sector or value driven. Value driven, we can say the projects will be undertaken here. Then we can say that here challenges. In terms of challenges also you should know different challenges are there. Here date diplomacy is being followed by China. You can give example of Sri Lanka here. As Sri Lanka was not able to repay Chinese loan, so it had to give Hambantota port for 99 years of lease to China. Such kind of date diplomacy is being played by the China. While here the problem will be, we can say, related to funding is not guaranteed. Funding is not guaranteed. If let's say private sector is willing to invest, then only. But here the funding is guaranteed by BRI. But let's say whatever that is funding will be done by private sector, it will be transparent, we can say. And here problem of date diplomacy is there. In this manner you should do the comparison regarding BRI and the PGII of this G7 countries. Fine. So IR section say we are expecting question here. Then bring the shine back on government jobs. Good facts are mentioned in this article. I would advise you to read this article and take some facts out of it. Data book आपका update करिए इसमें, ठीक है. So at the start some points they are mentioning as the context. In 2019, Indian citizens died of suicide every hour due to joblessness, poverty or bankruptcy according to National Crime Records Bureau. Protest against the Agnipath scheme recently happened. It shows some kind of social unrest, civil unrest, social unrest going on country, especially related to, we can say, unemployment, growing unemployment in the country and resulting poverty. And there is, we can say, declining especially unemployment is in terms of, we can say, declining public services or civil services positions, jobs. So with that context this article is written. A culture of hire and fire is being adopted by different state as well as central government. Recently you can give the example, Haryana government in May month 2022 fired around 2000 health workers recruited during pandemic time on contractual basis. They have been fired. Okay. Similar case is there for the health workers recruited by the Delhi government in different let's say government hospitals during pandemic time. They have been also fired. So such culture of hire and fire is adopted by the state government, especially in critical sector like, we can say, health sector. Now the major problems, twofold problems are there. One is that increasing vacancies in government jobs and they are not filled. From time to time. You can give example. In 2021 last year there were almost 60 lakh vacancies together for state and central government. 60 lakh vacancies, including PSUs and the civil services, we can say other aspects. Second problem here is related to growing share of contractual jobs. Growing share of contractual jobs in the government, we can say, sector. So this by 2018 it was 60%. By 2018 it was 60% of total government jobs. So this is huge amount, you should understand. And when there are contractual jobs, the government can fire at any time. There is lack of job security to the people. Now in terms of analysis, so what we should understand in the analysis, first thing, government jobs are important, especially in social sector, okay, where the private sector is having profit motive. There the government sector needs to focus build its health infrastructure and education infrastructure. There let's say government jobs are at present very much required, and there are lot of vacancies in the country. Second thing we should understand is that when there are, let's say, government employment is there, this basically boosts consumption demand, and ultimately this will lead to economic growth only. It will lead to economic growth only. In analysis we should also mention like this. Third thing we should understand, when the government employment is happen, quality and timely public services. At present we know the kind of public service people receive from the government offices. There is delayed, lack of quality, and the people face lot of hurdles in accessing those public services from the government offices, and therefore this is actually due to lack of manpower also, one of the reason. So quality and timely public services, for that purpose we need to fill up these vacancies, and that should be done on long term basis rather than thinking only about money here or cost cutting aspect. So what should be the way forward? Way forward here should be, instead of downsizing, there should be right sizing of government services, or we can say public services. Public service. Right sizing means सही जगह पे सही number of people होना चाहिए, right number of people at right place. Like for example, health sector, education sector requires more number of government employees, teachers or the doctors, but at the same time at the clerical level there can be less number of government employees. There can be contractual jobs at that we can say level of government. At the same time, the increasing use of technology is reducing manpower requirements at the clerical level. So that is called as right sizing. Instead of completely downsizing by focusing on reducing the expenditure on pensions and salaries, the government should focus on this. Second thing we should also understand, yes, so capacity building of civil services or public servants is very important. Government should focus on this also simultaneously, because this capacity building is very important to deal with present day challenges in delivering public services. What kind of challenges? Mainly we can say that corruption free welfare services, government schemes and policies implementation. Second thing we can also mention here that efficient and quality delivery of public service. Efficient and quality delivery of public service. For that purpose also capacity building of public servant is required, and this is major challenge at present. They needs to be dealt here by improving the capacity and strengthening the capacity of the public servant. Fine. Okay, now you have understood what. Next, the essence of time. Judicial intervention in anti-defection cases. Yes, so the context is recent Supreme Court order in Maharashtra case that is going on at present. Judicial intervention in matters related to disqualifying lawmakers for defection takes place in two cases, either buying the dissident's time or allowing disqualification proceedings to go unhindered. Okay, both ways the government judiciary can intervene in this we can say anti-defection proceedings. Now Supreme Court order granting time to these MLAs, Shiv Sena party MLAs until July 12 to dissident Shiv Sena legislators in Maharashtra Assembly to reply to Deputy Speaker's notice under anti-defection law. Okay, so what was this notice here? Within 2 days, the Deputy Speaker, let's say, demanded the clarification on whether there should be anti-defection proceedings, why anti-defection, let's say, proceedings should not be taken against them. So up till July 12th, they can now reply to this notice of Deputy Speaker. This is the interim, we can say, provision given by Supreme Court. Now you should know some judicial pronouncement. In 1990, Kilito Holohan case, very famous case, a constitution bench, while upholding validity of anti-defection law, held that Speaker's decision was subject to judicial review. When this, let's say, anti-defection law under 10th schedule of Indian Constitution was added through 1985 Act, there was provision that whatever the presiding officer decides on it, there will not be any kind of judicial review of that decision. So Kilito Holohan case had said that the such decision is subject to judicial review. So judicial intervention can be there according to Constitution, but such judicial intervention should be done after the disqualification is announced. This was also mentioned in this case, not during the the legislative proceedings of anti-defection. Now this intervention is, we can say, to some extent against this particular case judgment. However, we should also understand that only 2 days of time period given by Deputy Speaker is also very less, and that's why the Supreme Court had given some kind of protection to these MLAs. Okay, so yes, Deputy Speaker's grant of just 2 days for MLAs to reply may have occasioned the intervention by Supreme Court, but it is doubtful whether the court should concern itself with the question now, when it can be decided after their possible disqualification. So Supreme Court could have intervened after, let's say, decision taken by the presiding officer, and that has been the standard followed through, let's say, from this Kilito Holohan case. Now we should also understand that in one of the judgment of Supreme Court, it has been said that motion to remove presiding officer, when such motion to remove presiding officer is given in the legislative house, then the presiding officer cannot decide on the anti-defection. Okay, so motions to remove presiding officer should not become the ploy to circumvent disqualification proceedings. Now in this particular case of Maharashtra, what these legislators have done, MLAs, they have given the notice or started the motion against the Deputy Speaker of Maharashtra Assembly for his removal. ठीक है, तो अब वो रिमूवल वाला जो मोशन होगा वो असेंबली में होगा. So that let's say the presiding officer cannot take decision on disqualification of those members. But this is opportunism, political opportunism. ठीक है, तो of course this is also let's say one of the area where Supreme Court may in near future give some kind of order or verdict. Okay, so you should be having follow, because anti-defection law is important part of both prelims as well as mains examination. This year they asked in prelims examination, again they will ask in mains examination, because several cases are happening in different parts of the country. Now mRNA jab Covovax for 7 to 11 years age group got let's say gets nod from Drugs Controller and General of India. So yes, DCGI approved India's first indigenously developed mRNA, messenger RNA vaccine against COVID-19 manufactured by Genova Biopharmaceuticals for restricted emergency use for those 18 years and above. Also, let's say they have approved Serum Institute of India's vaccine Covovax for restricted emergency use for children aged 7 to 11 subject to certain conditions. Now there are different technologies used for development of these vaccines. You should be knowing about this, like vector based vaccines, जो कोविशील्ड जो है AstraZeneca or manufactured by Serum Institute of India in India, and we can say that the Sputnik of Russia, Sputnik V, they are vector based vaccine. Then inactivated vaccine, inactivated virus vaccine based vaccine we can say. So Covaxin of Bharat Biotech and ICMR. Then mRNA जो मॉडर्ना का वैक्सीन है, मॉडर्ना का वैक्सीन, ओके, मॉडर्ना कंपनी जो यूएस की है उसका mRNA वैक्सीन है. ओके, सो यू शुड बी नोइंग दिस टेक्नोलॉजीज बिकॉज दिस ईयर इन प्रीलिम्स दे आस्क्ड अबाउट दिस. ठीक है, तो बाकी कौन से इंडिजीनियसली डेवलप फर्स्ट सच mRNA इज बाय दिस जिनोवा बायोफार्मास्यूटिकल बेस्ड, दिस कंपनी बेस्ड इन पुणे. So they have developed this first indigenous mRNA vaccine for COVID-19. Messenger RNA or mRNA technology works by teaching our body cells to recognize and protect us against infectious diseases. That's why the name messenger RNA. Okay, one of the challenges with this new technology is that it must be kept in cold temperatures to maintain stability during transport and storage. So this is basically one considered as the logistical challenge for such kind of mRNA vaccine. That's why Moderna or let's say Johnson and Johnson jabs, they have not been popular in India because we don't have such kind of infrastructure. Cold storage. mRNA vaccine trick the body into producing some of the viral proteins itself. Inside a cell, mRNA is used as a template to build the protein. There are two parts of our immune system. One is innate defenses we are born with, and acquired, which we developed as we come into contact with pathogens. Okay, so or we can say that short term immunity and long term immunity. Long term immunity is also called as T cell immunity. Okay, so T cells are memory cells. They basically memorize what kind of let's say pathogen earlier had entered in our body, and they create some kind of antibodies against them. They remember this thing, and that's why in future when suppose let's say similar kind of or same kind of pathogen enters, immediately our body produces antibodies against this. Okay, so classical vaccine molecules for other diseases only work with acquired immune system, and innate immune system is activated by another ingredient called as adjuvant. Okay, so simply we can give the example of adjuvants like जैसे polio vaccine होता है. Okay, polio vaccine is there, or other such vaccines are there, traditional vaccines for those diseases. mRNA vaccines could also trigger the innate immune system, providing extra layer of defense that, let's say, without the need to add adjuvant. ठीक है, तो that's why we can say that they will provide long term immunity. ऐसा बोला जाता है mRNA वैक्सीन जो है more effective है. Fine. Rate adjustment loom as GST Council meet first time in 2022. Okay. Let's say the GST Council is learned to have accepted the interim report on rationalization of tax rates submitted by a group of ministers led by Karnataka Chief Minister, let's say B.S. Bommai, on the first day of two-day meeting of GST Council. So the decisions will be announced on the Wednesday, that is today, while the group of ministers also tasked with considering the merger of several different tax slabs. Larger overall has been put off in the view of concerns about high inflation in the country. Fine. So small changes may be done because at present the economy is not working properly. Some opposition ruled state urged the extension of compensation period for another 5 years. We know in 2022 this is going to expire. So they are asking for another 5-year term for a compensation, or alternatively they have mooted the idea of increasing their share of GST revenue. ठीक है, दोनों में से एक करिए, ऐसा वो रिक्वेस्ट करने वाले हैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को. Okay, so these are the developments, but the major outcomes of GST Council meeting, they will be in tomorrow's newspaper. We will discuss that in tomorrow's session. Now, what should be answer to this question? See the framing of question. This time onwards UPSC has, let's say, changed the pattern. They are asking such only one pair, only two pair, only three pairs kinds of thing, right? So yes, first just now we talked. Sorry? Only one. See, Genoa Biopharmaceuticals mRNA vaccine, just now we have seen that it is correctly matched. Then Oxford Zenka, AstraZeneca और Covishield जो अभी मैंने बताया vector based vaccine है, that is also true. Then Xylus Cadila, this US company, they have developed DNA plasmid based vaccine. This is also true. Okay, this is very unique of its kind. And Novavax is also US company. They have this technology, protein subunit vaccine. It is, we can say, comparatively less efficient, effective against COVID-19 disease, Novavax. So all these have been in news in last 2 years. ये हमने द हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर में from time to time we have covered this. The, let's say, technology that is used, what kind of these vaccines are there. So similar kind of question was asked in prelims examination. So UPSC will not ask question from, let's say, newspaper of one day. Rather you have to collect all the data from different, let's say, newspapers of the different days, and that information you have to collate in your mind to attempt such kind of questions. ठीक है? So here all pairs are correct. They are correctly matched. D is correct answer. Fine? Okay. Any question? Date diplomacy. Yes, date diplomacy means what? Like what China is doing. China is extending to lot of let's say loans to these small nations, be it Asian countries or African countries, जैसे नेपाल, बांग्लादेश है, म्यांमार है, या फिर Sri Lanka is also there, Pakistan is also there. So they are extending lot of loans, large loans, where these countries are not able to repay it. China knows about this, and in return China has something long term in mind. So China will say that if you are not able to return it, you give access to your land to us. वहाँ पे फिर वो क्या करेगा, आर्मी बेस या आर्म फोर्सेस बेस बनाएगा, या फिर वहाँ के लैंड को ओन करके वहाँ पे उसका इंडस्ट्रीज स्टार्ट करेगा. दिस इज कॉल्ड एज डेट डिप्लोमेसी. Understood? Yes. Fine. Okay then, let us stop.
Welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Study General Studies with Lukmaan IAS for building comprehensive knowledge. GS paper 2 and 4 will be taken by S. Ansari and other papers will be covered by renowned faculties. Live classes are as effective as offline classes. The classes are highly interactive in nature. Your doubts and queries will be addressed and there will be dictation of notes. In the last 10 years, Lukmaan IAS has set up a niche in the field of UPSC guidance.